Welcome to Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations. In this particular video, we will be looking at images of Mars Curiosity rover, the SOL 103 images, where the rover filmed an African pyramid that has an apex. And in the same area, we see the 1952 UFO that looked like a dinner plate with a half of a softball attached to the bottom of it. It appeared over the skies over the African pyramid that have an apex area on Mars. Now this is the same UFO that appeared in 1952 in the online film footage of a great alien film inside of a UFO. You can type that into Google or YouTube search engine and see the black African alien 33 face of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He has 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, big black oval shaped eyes, and he looks like an African alien. Okay, when we go back to Mars, we see that the Sphinx of GIZA and GAZA, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem, that is referred to in Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, he appears on Mars next to the Dome of the Rock structures. Now, when we talk about the octagon, the holy octagonal building structure that has the Golden Dome in Jerusalem, we see it all upon the Mars face in the micropixelated wall surface area of the Sphinx 1 shadow body form area. Now the Sphinx 1 shadow body form area has the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, 4th son of Jacob, who couched down as a lion and as an old lion. So what's amazing about the secret rover image of the stone face on Mars is that we finally have an up close image of the chin area. And when you micropixelate the wall surface area, you see the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure. Now this is where I term the 4 image. Now there's other octagonal structures upon the surface of Mars connected to the biblical lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah, and which actually destroys the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible false man-based image of Jesus and Jehovah in the false man-based religions. There's no white or Greek or European or Roman Jesus in the robe in outer space that has a penis underneath his white robe. This is the 100% incorrect false man-based religions. It's connected to the slave-based religions that's now being preached in every neighborhood church. When we talk about the biblical light that created the world, we talking about the 15 billion-year-old sun throne, as it is seen shining 93 million miles away across the black outer regions of space. This is ancient Egypt's winged sunness of Malachi 4:2, and it's 1 John 1:1, 15 billion-year-old sun throne, holy hydrogen lighted creation area, in which created the 5 billion-year-old world in the black outer regions of space. So this is where the Sphinx in Egypt, solar theology, or the solar theology of Heliopolis, the city of the sun, comes into play when we look at the Mars Sphinx and the winged sun disk in back of the Sphinx, where inside the winged sun disk we see an alien 33 face image, and which appears in the National Space Administration Soho satellite image, infrared image of the sun. So this brings us back to the ancient Egyptian deities connected to the TEMPLEMOUNT and alien 33 biblical will within the world like UFOs that landed upon Mount Sinai. As we expose the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible false man-based religions, we see that the African Sphinx is speaking the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. Now what's important about this video is that it's the first video created by an Afro-American in Chicago that actually shows the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll speaking 12 sons of Jacob, 4th son of Jacob, called the Lion Sphinx face on Mars. Now the Lion Sphinx face 44BNF5, it looks like the Egyptian Sphinx in front of the African pyramids in Giza. Now the Mars Sphinx face 44BNF5 has his original eyes. Now when you say you see a black African Sphinx in the chin area of the Mars secret rover image, that's in the Sphinx 1 shadow body area. So the shadow body area of the Sphinx couched down is in the chin area of the stone face on Mars. Now the wall area of the stone face on Mars has ancient Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls inscriptions. Now it's talking about the African Sphinx being transported to Mars by the will within the will like extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system. So this is the will in the will like UFO that landed upon Mount Sinai in the Old Testament. As we look at the Sphinx 44BNF5 face, now we see that he has a royal Egyptian headdress, and there's a temple mount white structure, which is actually the UFO image. For instance, the 1952 online film footage UFO, okay, it flies upside down. Now, most UFOs, when you see them, it look like a circular dinner plate flying through the sky with lights on it, with a golden dome at the top. That's the image of most UFOs. But the biblical will within the world UFOs of Alien 33, they fly upside down. So it looks like a dinner plate that you take out your kitchen and attach half of a softball onto the bottom of it. So this is the same UFO in which the Curiosity rover SOL-103 filmed in the sky over Mars. And it appeared in 1952 in the sky over Jerusalem, which caused outrage to the Greek and Roman conquerors that conquered the biblical Holy Lands and blew the nose off the Sphinx during the Napoleon era. So this is where we expose the 1952 Yom Kippur War, when the Greek and Roman inhabitants of Jerusalem through the doorway of Turkey tried to take the title and glory away from the black African lion Sphinx of ancient GIZA, GAZA, Palestine, Ethiopian, Jerusalem. And this occurred with the illegal name change in 1611 by the King of England, when he appointed 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars to fly to Jerusalem, Giza, and Gaza and study the African Sphinx of the tribe of Judah, Islamic, Aramaic, Dead Sea Scrolls. Now remember, if we go to the Middle East, we go to Iraq. And in Iraq, we see ancient black African stealth pyramid civilization of Ham. It's the 784 stealth pyramid that talks about the creation of African Adam from the ground. And we see this in the DNA grid as the steps of the Babylonian steps, which look like the square DNA grid. 5 sideways squares connected, look like the steps of the Babylonian stealth pyramid. So when we decode African Adam, globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection, we see the stealth pyramids all around the earth in every area is talking about Alien 33 on Mars, which is the extraterrestrial god of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that created the Angora gorilla first and then African Adam. So when you look at the Martian Viking frame in 1976, Viking frame 35A72, you're going to see a stone face on Mars and the Alien 33 and the Angora gorilla next to the stone face on Mars. Now this is the aerial view land surface image of an Angora gorilla in the original 1976 Viking frame. So as we decode the TEMPLEMOUNT extraterrestrials to the Curiosity rover SOL-103 images, we see that the Sphinx on Mars redefines the Christian religion back here on Earth. Because if we find this Sphinx on Mars, in which I'm showing in my video, wearing a royal headdress, and he has his eye are the original eyes that appears in the chin area of the secret rover image to the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars. So the eyes of the Sphinx is generated by octagonal building structures that has these domes. So that means there's no way you can separate the black African Sphinx of Ethiopia, that's referred to in the book of Genesis 49:8 as the fourth son of Jacob, who couched down as a lion and as an old lion in front of the Egyptian pyramids. Because the Egyptian pyramids are, the apex area are 1, 2, 3 triangular tips, and they appear as the 1, 2, 3 steps of the Babylonian style pyramid corners. So this is where, when we look at the African Sphinx Babylonian style pyramid 784 image, which appears in the Middle East in Jerusalem upon the octagonal building structure called the Dome of the Rock outer wall surface area. In the stone rectangular window frame, we see the Babylonian style pyramid E and 784 image. Now this 784 images talks about how African Adam, the Babylonian image, came to earth. Now when we talk about the book of Psalms, 105th chapter and 23rd verse, we see the 12 Islamic, Aramaic, Dead Sea Scrolls speaking sons of Jacob leaving Iraq, Babylonian style pyramid civilization of Ham in the Middle East, and crossing the Euphrates River and bringing the Babylonian style pyramid into Africa, or Saqqara. So this is why the African pyramids appear in the Dome of the Rock rectangular window frame, outer wall area. But now they appear flanking a central 784 Babylonian style pyramid image. So if on a blank sheet of paper you draw 3 squares, one on just above the other. Okay, this is the image of the area view GIZA pyramid, where we're looking down on a helicopter from 12 to 6 o'clock position upon the Isaiah 1919 GIZA pyramids. We see 1, 2, 3 square bases. So this is the arrangement of the squares in the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure, outer wall, stone rectangular window frame, 784 image. So these 3 squares flanks the Babylonian style pyramid of the 12 sons of Jacob. Now when we go back to the Babylonian style pyramid, we see it in LALIBELA. Now you say, wait a minute, I thought that was in, yeah, the one in the image in the Dome of the Rock window is talking about Iraq and Babylon. The Dome of the Rock window is geographically pointing you, when you see the 74 Babylonian style pyramid, to Ethiopia. So when you go to Ethiopia in a helicopter and look down upon the cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA, you see the Babylonian style pyramid civilization of Ham cross image of NIBIRU in stone. So this stone building, if you put it in a wall clock circle, which is the zodiac of 12 hours, right? The sun is in the center. Okay, now that means that you have a vertical horizontal stone section and a horizontal stone section. So the vertical stone section in a wall clock of 12 hours gives the geographic coordinates in outer space to the entrance of the LALIBELA cross-shaped building structure in Ethiopia. So at 12 o'clock, on your wall clock in the circle, you got 12 hours in the circle, and the entrance to the LALIBELA cross-shaped building structure falls at 12 o'clock. And so you have a vertical line in the wall clock and a horizontal line. The horizontal line is 9 to 3 o'clock, and the vertical line is 12 to 6 o'clock. So all the Africans on Earth that enters into the LALIBELA cross-shaped building structure is entering in at 12 o'clock. You say, well, what does that mean? That's the doorway entrance. Well, there's 12 sons of Jacob, right? 12 zodiacs, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, and all this. So when we talk about the 12 tribes of Judah, we're talking about the 12 zodiacs, or the 12 signs born through Virgo, 6. So you say, okay, so you're telling me that the cross-shaped building structure in Africa, its doorway, its entrance, if you place it in a wall clock of 12-hour circle, the entrance is at 12 o'clock, which is telling you that all of the African 12 sons of Jacob that spoke the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll, they are entering into the cross-shaped building structure at 12 o'clock. So all the 12 sons of Jacob that the book of Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse speaks of, that left Babylon, Iraq style pyramid civilizations, and entered into ancient Egypt. In theological racism, the African Sphinx of Genesis 49:8 is called the fourth son of Jacob, who cast down as a lion and as an old lion in Egypt and on Mars, next to Alien 33, the extraterrestrial God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that journeyed from Mars to Earth in Ezekiel's biblical world within the world like UFOs that landed upon Mount Sinai in the Old Testament. So when we talk about decoding the Mars, Alien 33, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Black African Sphinx data, we see the original world within the world like U.F.O. And octagonal building structures on Mars next to African pyramids that have apexes. Now what's amazing about the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible that's now read in every neighborhood church is that they denied the Black African Sphinx of the entire African continent. And when they did that, they denied Alien 33, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this is why when you look at modern UFOs today in the skies, over any major city, you're looking at 3 fingers and 1 thumb, grayish black extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system. And they take commands from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is an alien in the cube in the sun. So that means the cube of New Jerusalem is a crystal cube that has 12 foundations of precious stones. The crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane houses 1 John 1:1, 15 billion year old sun throne that existed in the black outer regions of space before it created the 5 billion year old world. So what's returning in the cube structure of New Jerusalem is not the false man-based religions, Greek and Roman, image of Jesus or Jehovah, but the biblical holy hydrogen light of creation that existed in the black outer regions of space before it created the 5 billion year old world. So this is why the human mind is seen as a molecule-sized magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light. The sun is a big ball of hydrogen light. So the earth in which the minds of all humans is born upon, okay, is shaped like a blue ball and its orbit around the sun, throne of God, 93 million miles away. Now, when you talk about the sun being born on earth through the first ancient black pharaoh queens, all right, then we talk about the bar-shaped female earth ovum. So in microbiology 101, if you go into the ovarian tract, of a woman, you'll see that she has brown reproductive bar-shaped female earth ovum eggs. And they're so small you need a pair of tweezers to pick them up. But if you put the blue bar-shaped earth in your left hand and put the bar-shaped female earth ovum in your right hand, okay, that means that the mind, which is a magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light, is representing the sun, which is a ball of light in outer space. And the earth, the blue bar-shaped earth in your left hand, is representing the bar-shaped female earth ovum as seen in microbiology 101. So that means that the holy hydrogen light of creation that became flesh in 1 John 1:1, the biblical light that created the world, is coming from the sun. So this exposes the holy hydrogen light of creation to be the true biblical light of the world, and it destroys the Greek and Roman false man-made image of Jesus and Jehovah that's taught in your neighborhood churches. So when the next time you see a person talking about a man that has a penis underneath his white robe with blue eyes and blonde hair in outer space as the Lord of their soul, right, or the Lord that created the 9 planets in our solar system, or connected to the creation of fruits and vegetables on earth, that's wrong. And when we look at the astronomical data, we see that if we take a cell sample from Jesus, if we went back in time and found Jesus preaching in the streets, we would see the chemical circular area of the cell with electron microscope and a black dot in the center of the cell nucleus. If we tried to identify 1 John 1:1, 15 billion year sun throne, original holy hydrogen light of creation, that lighteth every man that cometh to the world, that created the world. And now this is the very basic, rudimentary experiment that if you took a cell sample from Jesus or any black man, you're going to see a chemical circular area for the cell and a black dot in the center of the cell nucleus. Whereas 1 John 1:1, biblical light that lighteth every man that cometh to the world, where we see it glowing around the chemical circular area of the cell in microbiology 101. It's a rotating circle of the holy hydrogen light creation plasma. So this is why when you uplift the false man, or the body image of Jesus, or with the Greek and Roman character, the character of the Greek and Roman false man-based image of Jesus and Jehovah, you are in 100% error, 100% error in theology, because the light that's flowing through your cells is the hydrogen light that 1 John 1:1 is talking about. That's the holy hydrogen light creation element of all human souls. So when you see a Christian or a black sister or brother in your neighborhood church talking about Jesus or clapping their hands to Jesus, this is the false man-based religion. And it's brainwashing innocent black brothers and sisters when they talk about their soul light surrounding their cells. That's 1 John 1:1, 15 billion year sun throne. In ancient Egypt, it was Malachi 4:2, winged sun disk, written up on all the black African Egyptian temple walls. So your soul is hydrogen light, and we can see it with electron microscope in microbiology 101. But the holy hydrogen light creation that glows around all the chemical circular area of the cell is 1 John 1:1, biblical light that exists in the black outer regions of space before it created the 5 billion year world. It has nothing to do with the Greek and Roman false man-based image of Jesus or Jehovah. In fact, the scriptural reference says that the Greek and Romans that conquered Africa and blew the nose off the Sphinx, they wrote through the 1611 King of England the Greek and Latin and English Bible, after studying the African Lion Sphinx Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls of Alien 33 on Mars and the will like UFOs that were coming from Mars and landing on Mount Sinai in the Old Testament. So this would explain that the holy hydrogen light of creation returns to the cube structure of New Jerusalem, crystallographic projected 101 atomic plane, and not the Greek and Roman false image of Jesus or Jehovah. Once you tell that to a human being back here on earth, that the biblical light that created the world is shining 93 million miles away across the black outer regions of space, if it stops shining up on the earth, the world will go into total darkness. No matter how long the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible thumpers get down on their knees in their neighborhood church and pray to the false Greek and Roman man-based image of Jesus and Jehovah, in order to get the sun to start back shining across the 93 million mile distance of black space upon the earth. And this would expose, finally, the false man-based religions, because we now see ancient Egypt's winged sun disk as 1 John 1:1, holy hydrogen light of creation that exists in the black outer regions of space, that returns to the cube structure of New Jerusalem, crystallographic projected 101 atomic planes. So when we see the biblical light of the world is the biblical light that created the world, the Earth is 5 billion years old in carbon-14 dating in astronomy. The sun is 15 billion years old. If you subtract 5 from 15, you have 10. So before the Earth existed, you had the 1 John 1:1 biblical light that existed before the world. So this is why when you open up the Greek and Roman 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, you see them dissing the sun in the opening verses of Genesis. And how do we know this? Because if you see in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and the Spirit of God moved upon the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light. Right then and there, we have caught the Greek Caucasian devil with his hands in the cookie jar, in the opening verses of Genesis, in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible. How do we know this? Is because you cannot put an earth in a black space that's only 5 billion years old before the sun, which is 15 billion years old. So as we expose to false man-based religions, they are uplifting the physical world and outer space as being in existence before 1 John 1:1 biblical light that existed before the world. So if the biblical light, which is the sun throne, which is Psalms 84:11 sun throne, and ancient Egypt's winged sun disk of the African Sphinx on Mars, the Sphinx form shadow body form era, we see then that this holy hydrolytic creation then is the elemental force of all human souls. And we see it in Microbiology 101 glowing around the chemical circular area of the cell with electron microscope in microbiology. So when we talk about the biblical light that exists before the world, returning in the crude structure of New Jerusalem, we come full circle to ancient Egypt. And who's in ancient Egypt? A black African sphinx of the entire African continent. And then we see this Babylonian style pyramid on Mars connected to the Dome of the Rock 784 outer wall stone rectangular window frame image of a Babylonian style pyramid. So in the center of the Babylonian style pyramid, we see the cross image of NIBIRU. This is a direct image of an era-viewed image of the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA. When we view it from a helicopter, the cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA, we see the Babylonian 784 Dome of the Rock style pyramid image of the 12 sons of Jacob surrounding the base area. So thank you for viewing these great archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries. For more information, you may send your emails to larellsmith@att.net. Thank you very much.